And again, this comes in a section about kind of forgiveness and thinking about what we do and how we respond when someone has hurt us. So there's kind of that. We heard that last week. And then there's this part where Peter comes and asks, Jesus, how many times should I forgive someone? 7 times. And Jesus says, not 7 times, but I tell you 77 times. And sometimes the gospel is more 70 times 7. Like, is it 77 or is it 490? Either way, it's a lot, right? And either way, it's a play on this scripture in Genesis where there's this word about Cain. Remember, Abel killed Cain. Cain's death being avenged 7-fold, and then Cain's great-great-grandchild is going to be avenged 77 times. So it's kind of like this way of living in a world where it's just like endless retribution. You hit me, I hit you, you hit me, goes back and forth. And here's this invitation instead to live in a different way, which is this way of just crazy, abundant, kind of ridiculous grace. And sometimes the scriptures, especially the parables, are really kind of ridiculous. We don't really see it because we're not reading the initial Greek and the scripture's not that familiar, but the kind of what's presented is almost ludicrous, and there's a point to that too, and that's what we hear in the scripture. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven, or we could say kingdom of heaven, may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his slaves. When he began the reckoning, one who owed him 10,000 talents was brought to him. So 10,000 talents, a talent is equal to 15 years' wages. So this guy owes him 150,000 years of his life. Okay, so that's a lot, right? That's a big debt. And as he could not pay, his Lord ordered him to be sold, together with his wife and children and all his possessions, and payment to be made. So the slave fell on his knees before him, saying, "Have patience with me, and I will pay you everything." And out of pity for him, the Lord of the slave released him and forgave him the debt. But that same slave, as he went out, came upon one of his fellow slaves who owed him 100 denarii. Now, a denarii is about a day's wage, so this guy owes him 100 days, which is a little less than 150,000 years of your life. Seizing him by the throat, he said, "Pay what you owe." Then his fellow slave fell down and pleaded with him, "Have patience with me, and I will pay you." But he refused, and then he went and threw him into prison until he would pay the debt. When his fellow slaves saw what had happened, that's kind of our role, or the tattletales, they were greatly distressed, and they went and reported to their Lord all that had taken place. Then his Lord summoned him and said to him, "You wicked slave, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not have had mercy on your fellow slave as I had mercy on you?" And in anger, his Lord handed him over to be tortured until he would pay his entire debt. So it's kind of like, tit for tat. We're back to this vengeance. You hurt me, I'll hurt you. So my heavenly Maker will also do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother or sister from your heart.